second or two where we're probably streaming, but we don't know it just yet. And everyone will tell us that we're streaming. It's fun.
Oh,
And it
hey.
looks like we are live. YouTube's giving me that fun little notification that says, hey, maybe you should not say weird things when you're live. I am joined today on this episode, the 99th episode of the Making Awesome Podcast, Season 2, Episode 47. Assuming that math is decent, I think it is. We are joined by Denise of Tom's Hardware, who is a professional reviewer, but I do a really bad job of intros. So, Denise, if you can give us the Backstreet Boys, the who you are, the where you from, the what you did, and as long as you love me. How I
Okay.
start every one of them. It's great. I love it.
All right. All right. So obviously, I'm Denise Bertacchi, and I have been a reviewer for Tom's Hardware for about 9 months now. But before that, I've been a reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, St. Louis Magazine, an online columnist for a little thing called Patch.com that kind of, um, yeah, and Boys Life. And then I've got a blog, a mom blog that's been around for about 10 years now. And then a 3D printing blog that I started more recently that's less than a year old. So kind of lucked into the print review stuff. I thought I was hired to make like top 10 Christmas ornaments and that sort of thing. And then my editor was like, we have this resin printer. Somebody needs to review it. It's like, okay. And so after that, I started, I kind of took over for Andrew Sink. He was
Yep.
the reviewer that Tom's had first.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been around since the 90s,
Yeah.
but they've only been into 3D printing for like the last 2 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so Andrew started it. And then he went on to bigger and better things. And I think we're all freelancers here. So his schedule is kind of freed up and he's back and doing some stuff. So we're kind of tag teaming this right now.
Fair.
So that's the fun of freelancing. So between the two of us, we can cover a lot of ground. And, and I've got printers up to my eyeballs. So these guys are all under review here.
I see there's a Lulzbot Sidekick 289. Next to it looks like maybe a Neptune 3.
No. Okay, this one is brand new. Well, that is from Monoprice. It is a jewel. And it's got a Voxel Lab Aquila board on inside it. Looks a lot like Ender V2. So it's a clone, but it's a pretty good clone. And then this is the Magician Max.
Who's that?
That's Mingda.
Mingda? Okay.
So this is their CR10 size one. And I got the big boy is out on my bar in the other room.
Oh, like a 500 millimeter bed slinger?
It's like 400. So it's the same size as the Cobra Max.
That's
so
still
everybody's
just
cranking out.
That's too damn big. We connected over a mutual problem recently. You, myself, and Joel Telling have all commiserated over our lackluster performance with the Snapmaker. And hilariously, I got an email this morning.
Oh.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I called out Snapmaker pretty hardcore in the video that we did with their product, basically saying that their data collection is, one, fairly certain it's illegal outside of the United States. Any country with GPDR, like requiring data collection, I'm fairly certain is illegal, but I'm not a lawyer. And then two, most recently, I'll bring out the part. This part. And like, look at those freaking lines. Like, what is this? Is this 2006? And I've come to realize that I'm fairly certain the printer does not have PID. I am fairly certain it's bang bang. And so they emailed me trying to address both problems, except they have no idea what PID and bang bang is. So I gotta do that. But they're saying that they've updated their firmware in June, and I can see in the latest terms and conditions, that is literally a photo of the screen, that the data is from Google Analytics, which is anonymized. I really don't care. Really don't care. Don't collect my data to use your hardware. But that's a grant rant for another day. So Denise, how long have you been in this reviewing format for 3D printing?
I started with them in December, so we're going on 9 months of reviewing. I pulled up a spreadsheet last night to check, and I've got 19 printers posted that I reviewed since January.
Okay, so what's your favorite one?
Oh, let's see. I'm one of those people, I've never met a printer that I really hated, but I think my favorites right now, the baby Cobra. So the just straight Cobra from Anycubic.
Yeah.
Because, sorry, I have dogs. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, so the Anycubic Cobra, just the straight up one, I think it's really great because it's a good beginner's printer. It's, it's got the direct drive, it's got the auto leveling, and it was really easy to assemble. It's one of those like 90% assembly kind of printers. I really don't like how people are pushing these fully assembled kits, or kits you have to completely put together yourself for beginners. And it's like, because it's cheap.
Especially with the bad instructions, right? If your instructions are good, like, have you built a Mark III's before?
No, I haven't, but I've had some really weird instructions. And usually it's better if you can go find their video.
Oh my gosh,
and,
yes.
And I've learned now that everybody does have a video, even if they don't tell you about it. So always look for the video. We actually put together a laser engraver kind of backwards.
Wasn't firing the laser up, was it?
No, but nothing was,
Yeah, I'm
looking the right way. The frame was all cockeyed, but yeah.
I'm looking for one of my copies of the Prusa manual. The Prusa manual for assembling their full kit printers is just insanely good. Like, it comes with a bag of gummy bears, and the first part of the instructions says that, the biggest problem with these kits is the inadequate or overzealous consumption of bears. And throughout the build process, it actually tells you to stop and take a break and have a measured amount of bears. And if they've gone through that far to make the joke of stopping and having gummy bears, then they honestly have done a good job. And that is my standard. And that's unfortunate because that's a very, very high standard that basically no company has been able to meet. But I agree with you. A lot of these full kit printers, the instructions are like, oh, here's a 1-page double-sided instructions. Best of luck.
And they're about, this big.
Yeah.
With,
the font is real small. We did a CR10V3 clone that I bought for like $165 on an Amazon deal. It's like $165 for that size. How bad can it be? And I spent it took me like 2 hours to assemble the stupid thing because I just could not read the instructions properly. Maybe it's because I wanted to rush through it, but it was, and you know what? The printer's been great. I have no major issues with it that were not caused by something other than the printer. Might have had a rodent in my garage that might have chewed its wiring, so we probably are going to have a video on how to rewire a 3D printer coming soon. For no real reason. No, that would the rodent has been
find content where you can, I guess.
Yeah, hey, you got to work with what you got. I've never rewired a printer like that, so we're gonna learn it together. But what is it like being a professional reviewer? Because you were kind of thrust into this, so how has it been like, kind of learning as you go?
Well, I like to say I'm the kid that fell in the chocolate vat. So
you're Augustus.
I have 2 printers of my very own. So I started off on a CR10S, and then I got an Ender 3 Pro when I started making Christmas ornaments. And actually, so this is what started everything.
Dumpster fires. Yep.
The dumpster fire. So I made 1,000 of these one Christmas. So I needed 2 printers. But then once it's like, I looked at all the printers that I've reviewed, and it's like, well, I had one month, and then the next month there was nothing. And then March I had 2, and then May I had 3, and and right now I've got 5 or 6 under review. So, and I think part of the weirdness with the workflow is that since I am a writer, not a video reviewer, I can have 5 or 6 going. And as long as I take good notes, and then this is my camera set. So I just have to take these printers off, put one up, I get its glamour shots. But otherwise, I have a printer working on a hockey table in the other room. So it doesn't matter where they are. So,
Interesting.
yeah. But I've been reaching out to all the 3D printing companies that I can, because my goal is to get one of everything for Tom's. So I don't, they haven't made a new printer yet. We reviewed all their stuff.
I like this though, because it is tough sometimes to find reviews that you can trust, right? You know, even if it's from, you know, your insert favorite YouTuber, it's probably not me, and that's fine. We are not as big as some of the other ones out there, but I like to believe I'm as you know, upfront and honest as I can be with all of it. And sometimes you can really kind of tell that this doesn't smell right. And reading your reviews, reading Andrew's, I've never had that stink from it, and that is really, really valuable to me as I look at what do I want to do to grow my business, right? Because content creation is just kind of a, I want to say it's a side gig, but it's more of a full-time gig on top of a full-time gig on top of a full-time gig. As I'm sure you're well aware that, you know, reviewing machines is very complicated, and missing even a couple of small things can kind of change the way that things happen, right?
Yeah. And you do need to give each printer at least a couple of weeks of solid running before, you know, things rattle off of it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just, so I know, I really appreciate the YouTubers who say, we're doing an unboxing, this isn't a full review, we're just getting it out and seeing how it runs, because that really isn't a good picture. I mean, I've had one printer that I opened up and the wheels came out first. So we don't get cherry pick.
Is it a Focus?
And it's like, I opened it up, it had such beautiful packaging, and I was really looking forward to this thing, and I cracked it open and 3 of the V slot wheels just rolled out on the floor first. So
I've heard that from a few different manufacturers, and I think a lot of that is maybe not due to them, but it's more due to the shipping companies, whether it's coming from Amazon or wherever, and the fact that they're just not treated well, and that the companies in the beginning didn't do the research they needed to make certain that it could survive shipping, that it could do all of that. And that is, well, for companies that are trying to hit bottom of the barrel pricing, it is not something they want to spend money on. And I don't necessarily blame them, which is weird for me to say. But, you know.
Yeah, and the Focus was kind of interesting, because there's like, hey, it folds, and it's like, great, it folded the one time, and then I unfolded it, and actually mine got to fold twice, because I have rehomed it with another editor over at Tom's Hardware, so I got to fold it back up and mail it up. So, but yeah, when I know a lot of people, when they think about reviewers, and they're like, oh, we get cherry picked printers, and we don't. I've had to glue the printer back together. I've had to ask for a new BL Touch, you know, because this one did not work. I've chewed up beds trying to, you know, get these things to level. But like with the Focus, though, they do have good customer support, because I go into their Facebook groups. And so everybody there is really loved. They have a really good Facebook group with a customer service person who's trying to help them all. And so the one thing that reviewers have that maybe ordinary customers don't is that we have an email address to the company.
It is true, we do.
We might get service a little faster because they want us to have a good time with their printer.
And that's why I use a burner.
Kit that they would send to everybody. And they're like, here, this has got everything that usually breaks.
We have 5 different burner emails that we use to contact companies when we do need support, because I want to see what it is like from the, you know, individual's perspective. So I contacted Snapmaker from one of our burners. They never replied to it, but they send me a direct email to the email that I've been communicating with them for the review unit. And so, okay, what does that mean? That means clearly I've made enough noise on Twitter, but it means that they're either they never got that email or they're outright ignoring it. And none of that bodes well in my personal opinion. But that's why I like to use the burner emails that have no connection to 3D Musketeers at all,
Right.
so that we can kind of see, because if we are kind of getting cherry picked customer service, that can really change. Because you know what, things happen. I've had Prusas. I've had I've had a $5,000 printer come with broken parts on it, and it is all about that after sales support that kind of changes a lot of it,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know that there's a lot of 3D printing companies that have really stellar customer support. I mean, not like what Americans are used to, because it's like, okay, my first two printers, they came from Micro Center. So I'm lucky enough I have a Micro Center within 20 minutes of my house.
I'm mad at you.
And we got the CR10 out, and it was a birthday present. And of course, after 3 months, it started making a rattling noise. And we're like, well, Micro Center gave us a warranty. And I went and asked them, they're like, yeah, give us the whole machine and we'll give you a new one. And I was like, this guy on YouTube said I just need a WD-40 it. So we just cracked it open, squirted some WD-40, and it's been fine. But I know a lot of people, I used to hang out on the Facebook groups, and when I was new.
Yeah, people learn pretty quickly that Facebook groups are a great way to learn how to do things the wrong way very quickly,
Yeah.
or to find the toxic communities.
Everything is e-steps. No, but a lot of people that I see, a lot of new folks are like, they want customer service, and it just doesn't necessarily happen. I don't know. But that's why we have these communities, because we are the customer service. So
yeah, and it to some extent, some of the reviewers, we get review units in exchange for making the videos, and the videos are the customer service. So are we kind of getting like offhandedly paid to do customer service? It's kind of weird. I've never understood that relationship, but hey, I ain't knocking it. It is fun to take a look at things. So you've only been printing for a little bit of time, and your first experience is with a resin printer?
Oh no. Yeah, my first review was a resin, but it was like a Cadillac. It was a frozen mini 8K.
Okay.
And so it's amazing printer, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm looking at the YouTubes, and I figured it out. And I think what I figured, I haven't done a whole lot of resin. It's kind of messy, but it's like there isn't a lot to resin printing as far as the machine goes. I mean, you pour the resin in and you push the button and it does its thing. The really hard part about resin printing is learning how to put the supports on in the slicer.
Right.
So, so I haven't had any trouble with any of the resin printers that I've had. They also just trying to figure out how to get stuff off the plate without breaking them. That's the last, I got a frozen Mighty 8K right now, and they really improved the bed on that one. Stuff just slides right off. So, but yeah, the mini, you had to take the hammer to it.
The flex plates really kind of make resin printing so much easier, but I know it is difficult to go through and modify things that are given to you for review, because then you're not really testing it.
I don't want to modify. Yeah, I don't modify a thing. I need to run it completely stock.
Yep.
I know a lot of times I go complain to my husband. It's like, this thing's got a clog. And he's like, well, we could put like a copperhead in there. No, we can't do anything to it. I got to run it like this. And, and if I keep it around later, we can jazz it up.
Yeah. If it stays after the review, then yeah, we can have some fun and maybe go back and do an update and say, these are the problems that I had. Here is how I solved them. Which is probably going to be what I do with the Snapmaker. Cause I've done it's got a different fan duct, because the one that it comes with is atrocious, and I'm probably gonna put it in my garage, because out there there's no air conditioning. Well, there's no air conditioning when I turn it off, and the heat should make that printer print better, I think. I'm gonna find out.
You have it in the enclosure?
No, I don't, because that enclosure is it takes up so much space, and I'm not going to use it for 3D printing. When it goes out in the garage, it will be. It will be in its enclosure.
Here's the fun part, and I haven't done the full review on the Snapmaker yet, so I don't know how much I'm going to clean it up for the photos, because we put it together with the enclosure in my husband's workshop, because he wanted to play with the CNC machine and the
Mhm.
laser cutter and all that. He does RC planes, so he's like, I want to cut some wood with it. And so I'm letting him do that. And the inside of that enclosure is getting so goobery with sawdust.
Yep.
It's getting ugly in there. But
It's
and then the spool
it's not
holder's all the way
grounded.
in the back. It's not a good short person printer because this spool holder's way in the back. The power button is on the top. I need a step stool to use this thing. And it's
I
just on an ordinary counter.
I think Joel Telling said it the best, and I plan on kind of stealing his thought on it, that it is a 3D printer made by a marketing company, because it is
Oh, beautiful.
truly made with like top end materials, but the execution is just completely missed. Because it looks pretty, it looks
Oh,
and feels like a
yeah.
multi-thousand-dollar printer. It looks and feels like a multi-thousand-dollar CNC machine. It looks and feels like a cheap diode laser. Uh,
It's
and
a low powered laser. So I think, if they come out with something that's a
they
little
have
more
a
high
10
power,
watt.
yeah.
They have a 10 watt. And I have an 80 watt CO2, so I'm a
Uh-huh.
little spoiled in that regard. I've had that for years. I bought that with my money. That was like for the business.
Yeah.
Um, and so like a 1.6 watt diode laser, I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
um, then they have the 10 watt upgrade. I said, okay, maybe. But diode lasers are just so dangerous. They're so dangerous, especially for companies that don't include proper laser safety glasses. Thankfully, Snapmakers are actually really good.
Yeah.
But a lot of these cheap diode lasers, dude, they'll blind you
Oh.
from the reflections coming off of them. So, like,
Well, what do I need to know? Because I've got a mod for, or not a mod, I have a module
mhm.
for the Ender 3, the little watt and a half, whatever, the little tiny laser.
Yep.
And I have not gotten that out of the box yet because I needed to review the whole printer first.
You need to fully enclose the beam path. The beam cannot have an opportunity to reflect. If it does, it's dangerous. And a great way to check this is to use a camera.
Okay.
Set up a camera and go into, run an extension cord into another room and
Yeah.
control the printer remotely somehow, whether it's somebody with their eyes closed clicking a button or whatever it might be. Diode lasers will blind you instantly. And there's the joke of don't look at laser with remaining good eye. It's not false when you look at some of these companies out there that are like, Creality makes a diode laser thing and it has no protection, none.
Oh, it's got a little shield on it.
But it's not to the workpiece. It doesn't drag on the workpiece. So it provides opportunity for reflection and refraction from the beam itself, especially if people think, oh, I can cut metal with it. You can't.
Yeah, I haven't tried to cut any metal with any of these.
It won't. It simply won't. My 80 watt can barely poke holes in tinfoil. The metal can wick away the heat faster than you can pump it in. So they don't even try. It's dangerous. But yeah, the diode lasers, they're Blu-rays generally. They're Blu-ray lasers that are pumped to get higher wattage out of them. And they work, right? They can burn things, they can do engraving, but I don't know. I'm always very, very cautious. I like Snapmaker's implementation of just enclose the whole dang thing.
Yeah.
And of course it's an upgrade, but
Right.
they offer it. And the glasses that they provide are actually spec'd for the range. And you can test that by setting up a camera, putting the glasses on the camera, and then closing your eyes and firing the laser. If the camera can see blue or
Yeah.
purple, it's not working. It should see gray. You should see a gray dot. If it's working, you'll see a gray dot. Because that'll be some of the less than regular wavelengths that the glasses aren't blocking, and the Snapmakers do. And the only reason I know that is because I looked at the outside light, and if it's blocking UV light, you can basically tell instantly, and they did. So that's always a plus. Those glasses, I would say, would be reasonably okay to use with others. But if you want to get a good pair, there are some companies out there that make good pairs of laser glasses. If there's somebody in here that was talking about it earlier. Red/Ace, can you tell me the name of the company again? I think it's Thor Labs. I'm pretty sure it's Thor Labs that makes the really nice laser glasses, but they're like $200.
Yeah.
But if it means you don't go blind, it's cheaper than eye surgery. Because at-home LASIK is not recommended.
Well, yeah, okay.
Okay, so you kind of fell into the 3D printing reviewing. What do
Yes.
you and Liz, Pez Liz, she's one of the Maker Deck crew,
Oh,
was asking, how do you find a balance with the sponsorships and reviews, or does Tom's Hardware not accept sponsorships?
we don't do sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah. So in fact, there was a company that because some of the people I've approached, it's like, hey, we would like to review your printer. And then some people, they started finding us and they're like, hey, we've got this thing. What do you charge? And I'm like, we don't charge a thing. Just send us the machine and, we don't give you, you don't get editorial control either.
Right.
Our opinions are our own and giving the machine. And if your machine is good, then you'll get a good review, and yeah, so there's no money exchanging hands there. I know that there's been some companies that are like they're trying to get those sponsored posts, like, hey, we've got copy. No, we don't want your copy. We're good. We have our Amazon links and and the other things and the advertisers.
Affiliate links pay the bills.
Yes.
Yep.
So
yeah, I understand. It's the same way for most of the reviewers in the industry as well. It's like, look, I will take a look at your machine. You cannot control what I say. If I have a problem with it, I'm probably going to get upset and we're going to make it a grant rant. And if that is not something that you're comfortable with, then don't send crap.
yeah. Well, and it's like I don't like to post a really bad review. So if it's not up to, if we can't recommend it, then we just won't post it. So
yep.
And it would be better, and then it's better all around that way. So we are not tearing into somebody, and if they make a better product later, they can try again.
Yep. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
I did post the Snapmaker without reaching out to them, but
yeah.
I mean, when your terms and conditions to use your hardware include full,
yeah.
data collection, I don't think I was jumping the gun on that. Was it mean? Yeah,
They
absolutely.
come back and say anything about that?
Well, they emailed me today about it. Literally, when did this
I
email
know, but
come in?
did they say like, oh, it's not that big a deal? Or
they never responded publicly. They responded privately at 7:15 a.m. this morning.
Okay.
So I will go through this. I'll verify it, and I'm going to talk with them about the bang bang problem, because I think that machine has the potential to be good. I'm also only a little salty that they sent out a bunch of review units to people for the A350 2 weeks before they announced the Artisan. Like, you're clearly trying to burn inventory before you make the new machine, but hey, whatever.
I'm kind of wondering, and well, I don't know, maybe I should say this, but it's like, hey, here's our older printer that you didn't get a chance to review. And then that way, when the new one comes out, I'm going to be like super pumped because this has got better this and better that, and, higher power, faster.
My thought was always along the lines of create review. People buy old printer. We launch new printer. They buy new printer too. But I don't know.
Cynical.
I am mildly cynical sometimes.
But I know, but with the sponsored post business, I know I don't have to deal with that because I'm a freelancer, so I'm just doing, the Tom's is the only one who pays me, and and they pay me out of their whatever their ad revenue. But I know for YouTubers, it is a harder balance because this is a lot of it. If you want to go full time as a YouTuber, you got to find enough ways to support yourself, and the sponsored posts are probably going to bring in more than YouTube ads. At least
YouTube ads don't bring in crap.
Yeah. So
on average,
over the mom blog side, when I was a mom blogger, it's like sponsored posts were everywhere. That's all we did was sponsored posts, but that was mom blogging. So, and actually it was kind of refreshing when I came over to the 3D printing side and I watched a YouTuber and I'm thinking, wow, I wonder how much money he's getting for that. And then it's like, no, nobody's taking any money for these printers. So
If you were a mommy blogger, then do you know the Wads, the YouTube channel, the Wads?
No,
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah.
They have a mommy, it's a mommy vlog channel. They're good
Yeah.
friends of mine. They're like a
Oh.
340,000 subscriber channel, and we've talked metrics and all that. God, when you get big, dude, the money is just insane.
Mhm.
But a lot of it is for product placement and all that. I do like the way that some of the reviewers, like Uncle Jesse, have kind of
Mhm.
approached this, where he has a channel sponsor. It's Elegoo. Elegoo sponsors basically every one of his
Yeah.
videos, but he doesn't accept sponsorships on printer reviews, so that
Right.
those are as there's going to be some inherent biases, right? There's just no way for there not to be, but they're as unbiased as physically possible. And I think that is really the most commendable way to handle it, while also making sure you can pay your bills, pay your people, and have a profitable business. Because, yeah, look, it's a business, and it's a business for all parties involved, whether it's Toms, whether it's YouTubers, whether it's other reviewers. It's a business. And if it's not ran as such, it
Yeah.
doesn't last. So, yeah. Um,
Well, and I've also heard from the guys who do the YouTube reviews that often the stuff that brings in more eyeballs is the more entertaining videos. And but the stuff that the community needs, the tutorials and whatever, they're not getting as much traction with those videos,
yeah.
which is kind of sad because those are the ones that really help us out.
We have a veteran reviewer in the chat here, Mr. Brian Vines, BV3D, one of my favorite, because honestly, I could fall asleep to that man's voice. It is just such a great voice. This might sound weird coming on a live podcast, but I don't care. No, I really do like Brian's channel. I think he does a good job as well, kind of looking at the good, looking at the bad, and making sure that if there are any, okay, the printer was provided as part of a review, that is set up front. There is a disclosure, and that is really important. Question for you. What are some, and this comes from Duff, what are your pet peeves that you see in other reviews out there that you look at and say, I just don't like that?
Mm. Well, I don't like it when someone dings a printer because their printer was broken.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like that's a one-off. I mean, maybe it shows something about quality control, but if if you got a bum part and they fixed it and then it worked great, I think you shouldn't like drag down the whole review because of that. But then like with the bamboo thing, it's like some people were just so excited about how fast it was. And it took a couple of months almost. I don't know how long has that thing been out, but it took
A
a
little
little
bit.
while before the shine wore off of it and we started hearing anything negative about it because everyone was just so pumped about how fast it is. And
I
you
feel
know,
the same way. Like
like stop fanboying about the printer and tell me what is give me some stats.
I was so pumped for how fast it is. Now, I never got one. I reached out to get one.
I,
Not big enough. Totally fine. Don't care. However, I am absolutely going to point out some of the egregious issues that I saw, and then also point out the fact that Bambu has actually responded to some of them. Now, as a business owner, I'm giving Bambu 6 months before I even consider buying one of their printers. I did not back it on Kickstarter. It is not worth the, I think, $250 difference. I'll pay it
yeah,
in 6 months after it's released because, as you said earlier, if your hardware is great, but it has some reliability issues, and your backend support is absolute and utter garbage,
mm,
then it's not worth any money from a
right,
business standpoint. Because for me, uptime is what I care about, right? We have at least one more printer than we ever need. So in the event that one machine goes down, boom, I just start that on another printer. And yes, that's a first world problem for sure. But when you're looking at a $1,500 printer, which the Bambu with the AMS and all that was going to run about $1,500 to $1,700, um, it is very, very expensive for the average user. But what
yeah,
I think that Bambu did, and I hope more companies do this, is that they challenged the statement that we just need to make cheap Ender clones. They said, we're
mm,
not going to do that. We're going to provide, you know, a product that is ostensibly one of the fastest printers on the market for the money, period,
yeah,
at a honestly a lot cheaper than I think it should be price.
mm,
And that is what got the community amped, and it proved that the community, in my opinion, is tired of cheap Ender clones, and they want to see something that's actually going to be innovative. We're also tired of Creality having one new feature, calling it a brand new printer, and adding another damn SKU to their Ender line, which I'm fairly certain they did yesterday.
Neos?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I haven't gotten a Neo in yet. I know there's an Ender V2 Neo on its way to my location.
nice.
So I'm checking it out soon. But yeah, I think that they were just going back and refreshing their product line. So I think one of them is just a straight up Ender 3, but now it's got a CR Touch on it.
Brian Vines is calling it the Creality Printer of the Month Club. It's like wine of the month, but it's, you know, with enders that are slightly different.
Well, one thing I think those of us who were reviewers, I don't know if it's saying that we're jaded or whatever, but it's like we get all the new toys and it's like, oh, boring. You know, I've got 3 of those. But when I just had my own printers and I had that CR10S and it's like, this thing is going to have to catch fire and it won't. But I was like, I don't know, it would have to completely break down, rust, and, you know, before I would replace it, because that thing, it's a workhorse and it's full of all of its parts can be easily replaced, especially since I'm near a micro center and it's got practically the same parts as an Ender. So it's like anything that broke on that, I just go grab a new one, stick it on, and it's still chugging.
It is a 15-hour round trip to my closest micro center, and I have made the journey.
Yeah. I mean, what, you know, you got your Amazon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're just a hobbyist with 1 or 2 machines, what is it going to take for you to go? I wouldn't drop my Ender 3 Pro for a Neo because I've upgraded it beyond a Neo at this point.
I look at it and say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you got a CR10V1 and it is working fine, don't change it. Just don't change it, because anytime, especially on, you know, especially the larger printers, you go to change something, you're going to affect so many other things down the process. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just leave it alone. And there are a lot of people that will buy the Enders and just immediately start upgrading parts and wonder why they can't get good prints. Well, you never tried it stock. Like, you don't know what to expect.
And it's like a lot, and these printers are they're not bad out of the box. They run fine. And we just start modding them because we're bored. And, you know, and then somebody on YouTube is like, oh, look, I got this thing. You know, oh, I got to have that thing too. But I was thinking with people like Creality just coming out and refreshing their printers a little bit at a time, I don't think it's really meant for the people who already have one, because, you know, we bought that part and we stuck it on already.
Yep.
It's for the new people coming in, and they're like, you know, if you're looking at a, you know, Creality or Anycubic and you're saying, okay, which one's got more parts and, you know, more mods for the money. So it's like, so now Creality can say, hey, we got auto leveling too. So although
Anycubic has been the company that I've had my eye on, right? The Cobra Max, the Cobra Plus now too. Those are kind of solving some of my biggest kind of gripes with the Ender community of, all right, yeah, I know they're cheap, but manual bed leveling sucks. Nobody wants to do it constantly. And if you're a little bit rough on your printers, you're doing it all the time. I'm glad they're coming with, you know, all the safety protocols that are needed. That makes me happy, right? Because back when I started 3D printing in like 2008 or so. And just seeing how bad they were back then and seeing how good literally an Ender 3v2 is. I bought one, again, cheap on Amazon. And hold on, computer's upset with me here. Go away. Gotta take 2 things out of it. Okay. I bought a cheap one on Amazon, and I said, this thing punches way above its price class. It is too much work from a business standpoint for me to use it in my business, but from a straight 3D printer, good Lord, it is good. And the community behind it is really, to me, what makes the Ender printers valuable. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you stay away from the Facebook crowd.
I've said that in general. I've been banned from 2 separate 3D scanning Facebook groups
I know.
because Artec sued Creality over some intellectual property and all of that. And
Yeah.
I was defending Artec because looking at the claims, it's pretty clear here that something bad happened. And Creality said, well, we didn't do anything wrong.
It
You
was
know,
their third party.
well,
The
so
software.
the story goes that, it
I
was,
looked at the Lizard software because honestly, if I were Artec, I wouldn't claim that software. I mean, it's not that
looking,
great. It doesn't look like $44,000 software. It's it's $600 software that still needs a little bit of work.
you have the Lizard software, right?
I have a Lizard. I got one of the review units.
How does this look like in terms of the Lizard software to you?
Oh, I can't
Okay.
see that.
I'll send you some screenshots. The videos that
sure.
I've seen of the original Lizard software before they updated it post lawsuit looked identical to this. And this is the $1,200 a year Artec Studio software. Now, I
hopefully
own... Huh?
Hopefully it works a little better because
it does. Yeah.
That was probably part of the problem with the Lizard was that it works pretty well as a scanner once you figured it out, but then you had to really do a lot of cleanup.
One of our patrons has one, and he's messing around with it. When he's done, he's going to send it to me so I can compare it. Because because I own an Eva. I paid for the Eva. It is mine. Artec has absolutely... I wish I was working with Artec. Good Lord, their stuff is expensive. I have an Eva and I have a Ray, which is their long-range LiDAR scanner. And according to Artec, or according to Creality, the Lizard has identical performance to the Eva. Well, the Eva is 40 times the price. And if we can get half of the detail of the Eva for 1/40th of the price, the Lizard is absolutely doing great. But there's really not anyone that owns an Eva that would also go buy a Lizard. It's like, why? I already have one of the best hand scanners on the market. But I'll tell you, and it's a little hard to see, but this is a part that this will be in Wednesday's video, where I scanned a car part for a client, and it was a disaster. Everything about it was tough to scan. It was black, it was matte, it had a light texture to it, which structured light scanners hate. Sprayed it down with dry shampoo. By the way, if you're having problems scanning stuff, dry shampoo.
I figured that one out on my own, actually, before I then found out everybody else was doing that too. And it's like, so I think great minds work alike.
We're supposed to use the A-sub spray, but I don't want to pay $30. So one of my asks in the Wednesday video is going to be, if you have a contact or anyone has a contact at A-sub, I want to do a comparison between dry shampoo and A-sub. A-sub's 30 bucks a can. And you would probably go through about an eighth or a tenth of a can doing, the part that I did.
But if dry shampoo works, I mean, why,
Well, if it doesn't give you as bright of a surface, you might see that the more expensive spray works. But I'll tell you, the dry shampoo worked a treat. So, it did something. I love scanning. Scanning is like in my heart. I've worked quite literally with the Smithsonian and all the way to Snoop Dogg for scanning and printing. And so scanning is so near and dear to my heart. And I've owned an Eva now twice because I've never really found anything that matches particularly the software.
Yeah, it seems like if that's something that they can figure out how to make accessible for regular people, that's going to open up a whole lot of, well, it'll probably open up a lot of trouble, but because people will start, we have enough problems with intellectual property, but if Freddie Joe's got a scanner and he's out there,
I mean, I'm definitely going to try connecting the CR Scan Lizard to Artec Studio and see if it picks it up. So
that would be interesting.
I pay for it. I can do whatever I want. But
well, I just haven't had time to really go back and play with it some more because I've been busy reviewing the printers, and then I do a little bit of writing too. So.
And so what are you a writer by background? Is that your schooling? Are you a writer?
Yeah. I actually have a degree in mass communications. So
Cool.
with a minor in journalism, yeah. So, or an emphasis in journalism, minor in photography. So this was my intent to be a writer.
Hmm.
Um, of course, I graduated during, you know, dinosaur age recession. So my first job was actually in two-dimensional printing. So I did a lot of typesetting and that kind of stuff. And then I came back to journalism as I did a stint as just stay-at-home mom, got bored, and then picked up a gig as a stringer. So, you know, work the meetings at night, go
Yep.
out. So I'm the person that they would send to a 3-hour board meeting and then condense it down into 3 paragraphs. And that's how I got back into journalism. So,
Your experience with 2D printers versus your experience with 3D printers, which are more reliable?
well, you don't have to risk your fingers when you unjam a 3D printer. You can't wear rings around the big printers. And sadly, the place where I used to work, it's like um nobody hires that kind, nobody needs that kind of stuff anymore. The big I'm in St. Louis, so
Yep.
Color Art was the big two-dimensional printer that I worked for. And Color Art's main facility is now a storage unit.
Oh, what
And
a
it's so
bummer.
sad driving by it. And it's like, that used to be Color Art. And now it's, you know, it's, you can rent a storage locker there. It's like nobody needs that stuff anymore. So,
Yeah, large format printing has certainly changed, right? And I think large format 3D printing is going to be seeing some changes here. It seems like a lot of companies are pushing for bigger and bigger build volumes. Would you agree with that?
yeah, because for a while there, it was, you know, there was a glut of the Ender clones. And that seems like everybody wanted to, you know, just make these little guys. And I know it's actually more of an average size, the Ender build plate, because I started on a CR10, so that seems more normal for
Mm-hmm.
me. But yeah, now that's like, so I got my Anycubic, that's the 400 by 400. The Magician, it's about the same size. King Rune reached out, they're
Yep.
doing a 300. So um, and I don't know if it's just everybody wanting to print helmets. You know, is it the Mandalorian effect? We all want to make a Mandalorian helmet. You know, nobody wants
Oh
to.
my gosh, that is the best. The Mandalorian effect. Please tell me that's in one of your reviews. That is amazing.
I don't know. I guess it will have to be
It
now.
has to be. Oh my gosh.
It's,
Uh,
it's like everybody starts on a. You know, they try to, and I think it's good to start out with a cheaper printer. Just maybe not one that you have to put together. Actually, my favorite cheap printer is actually the Ender 2 Pro. And, you know, it's about this big, but it's basically a V2.
is that their cantilever one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And it's, you know, it's this big, it's got a handle on it. You can throw it in the closet and take it out. And so if you're just like a weekend warrior kind of 3D printer, it's great for that. And I got mine for 130 bucks on sale. And it's like, it's a risk, you know, and you know, if you're looking for a printer for Christmas for your kid, 130 bucks, it's not that bad of a Christmas present.
No.
Uh,
I say you have to look at the affordable printers as you're still spending the same amount of money as a bit
yeah.
as a, you know, as like a Prusa. You're going to end up spending roughly $1,000 no matter how you do it. You're either spending it in your time or you're spending it in your wallet. One of the two. So if you've got a bunch of extra time and you don't mind calibrating and learning and all of that,
Well,
Ender's
I want to know, how are you going to put $900 on an Ender 2 Pro?
well, time. It's time.
Oh, it
Leveling
works pretty good right out
beds.
of the box. It's not that bad.
Was that your first? So imagine from a first printer, right? How much
Okay.
struggling did you do when you first got an FDM
Well, it took
printer?
me 4 months to get a bed level. Jeez, the CR10, the CR10S
Mm-hmm.
came out with it's just like safety glass,
Yep.
and it took me forever to realize that it was dipped, and I had to actually put a dot in one corner, and it's like if I flipped it over in one direction and had this corner in the left, that was the flattest it was going to be. And then I finally caved and bought a flex plate for it because it's like, you know,
And that's why I'm glad to see more of the affordable printers coming with auto bed leveling. It is truly the bane. Like I was auto bed leveling in 2010. Why are we still manually bed leveling it in 2010? Why are we still doing it? Like BL touches, capacitive sensors, whatever, are so cheap. They're so cheap. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that would say, well, I'd rather save $20 and manually level beds than just have the printer do it for me every single time. It just seems like cheap insurance to me.
Yeah, and I know my Ender 3 Pro, um, before I got the flex plate for that one, I poked so many holes in it trying to level it. You know, I mean, I was new, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm sitting there going around, you know, and that's why I realized that, you know, just, well, they do need the better bed springs. That's helpful. This little guy here, the Jewel, it's got those crappy little springs, and every time I touch it, it kind of comes out of level. So that's definitely an upgrade that you need. But yeah, um,
Before
I think
those
my
springs were available, the old school method was to pull the bed springs off and pull them apart with a pair of pliers so that when you compressed them, they were under
okay,
higher compression. It was jank as hell, but it
yeah,
worked, right? This was also back when printers didn't come with thermal runaway because it wasn't a feature back then. It has since, of course, been a stock feature in Marlin ever since, but um, and I showed that, right? I showed what happens with thermal runaway. Unfortunately, I decided to do it outside for my own safety, but the
mhm.
breeze was able to keep the printer from catching fire. Um,
Oh, yeah, I watched that one, and I know
yeah,
you had to. Yeah,
I
did you
assisted it a little bit.
accelerate on it?
I,
I think you helped that one out a little bit.
yeah, I sprayed some alcohol to get it moving because the breeze is not consistent with what you would get inside of a home environment. The smell, you would have instantly had a problem because it's just burning material. And yes, I absolutely took that out of being a scientific test because Mother Nature decided to as well. I know that printer doesn't have thermal runaway, and I was willing to set it on fire. And I said, oh, it'll make a cool thumbnail no matter what. So we just did it.
Well, and I know one thing. It's like it seems like all of the well-respected names, they've got thermal runaway on
They do
there.
now,
So,
yeah.
not an idiot. Your printer's not gonna catch fire. So I kind of I get a little annoyed when people are like, "Oh, they're gonna catch fire," and it's like, well, don't buy $100 printer. You know,
The
It's
$50 printer that I bought, it was $50 on Amazon, brand
yeah,
new, and you can find them. They're so cheap. Has thermal runaway. And
yeah.
if that printer, and I did the video on it, and to this day, it is still the most surprising thing that has ever happened to me. I expected this thing to be a fire hazard. It doesn't even have stepper motors. It has DC motors, and it just figures it out. It has thermal runaway. And the fact that a $50 printer has thermal runaway means there is no excuse for any manufacturer to produce printers without it.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I've gotten anything that didn't have thermal runaway already activated. So I'm not sure where we have to go to. Hopefully we won't find any more like that.
The Snapmaker has non-traditional thermal runaway. It does not alert you to that it's gone into it. It'll just stop heating, which is fine. But also the thermistor is not held in with anything. It's just pushed in, and it's using wire pressure to hold the thermistor inside of the heat block.
Okay.
But I'm done picking on them. I'm gonna be nicer. It's not fair to continually pick on someone for the same damn thing. But okay, we've got a question in the chat. What is your favorite type of auto bed leveling?
Ooh, okay, it's on the Cobra Max.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that would be strain relief. So where the nozzle actually comes down and it taps the bed. So that one is really great because you can tell it to auto level and it'll run around and it'll tap the bed 25 times and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to mess with the Z height at all. So there's something in the way that Anycubic set that one up. And it's not on the Baby Cobra. You know, that one's got more of an induction level,
Okay.
which also worked really well. But yeah, the ones that physically tap the bed seem to have the best accuracy. And well, and like if you're a new person, you think, well, I had it auto level. Why is it all squashed down tight or not touching it at all? So you have to do the Z height. So
I would agree. There's a specific caveat that I have. I don't like the ones that use the nozzle to create an electrical connection. My Lulzbot Taz 6 does that, and up here I have a Fusion 3 F410 that I use for big parts. Both of those do it that way, and unless your nozzle is perfectly clean, it doesn't work. I like the strain gauge style that Anycubic uses. In fact, I said, damn, that's really smart. That's as few moving parts as possible. It doesn't matter if you got a little bit of crap on your nozzle because it'll figure itself out, right? And all of that works exactly the way that I would want. I said that, and that's why I've been watching Anycubic heavily, because wait a minute, these are all the things that I would want, minus an all metal hot end, but that's a very, very easy upgrade once you've done it a couple of times. And they're like $500. That's nothing. And you're getting a really big printer for that. So there's a lot of good value coming out as companies start to innovate a little bit more. And like you said, the strain gauge is perfect because of no offset.
And I think they're, like I said, I don't know if I've actually said this, but it's like I'm not coming at this from an engineer's perspective. I am a hobbyist and a writer.
Yes.
So I don't know, unless they tell me how it works, I don't necessarily know. I don't dig around with a screwdriver and figure out how things work.
I'm not an engineer. I just do it because I like to.
But I know that there's got to be something also in just the way that they're programmed, because the Ender 3 S1 Pro that I have, the bed leveling on that one, that worked brilliantly. And that was, it doesn't actually touch. It's got a sensor on it. And I had a Soval using Creality parts, same CR touch system. And well, they fixed it, but out of the box, it didn't work as great because there was programming issues. It's like it had you manually level the bed, and then it would run around, and then you adjusted this, and it's like there was 4 steps to get it leveled. And the Ender 3 S1 Pro, it came pretty much leveled out of the box. You ran it, and then it was fine. So, and I don't know why they're programmed differently, because they're both CR touches. So,
and that's the experience that I want for first timers. I want them to have a good experience with, an auto bed leveling printer. And then if they want to go something else, a little bit less money as a second, hey, I'm just going to mess around, but I have one that works. I am so for that, right? When you have something that works, you don't have to fiddle with it. It just, you click print, it's going to lay down pretty good lines. You're going to have a good experience. And then you have one that you tinker with. That to me is like the ultimate experience, because you get the best of both worlds. I want to upgrade all the things, so I buy something cheap, and I just want it to work.
Right.
The Neptune 3.
As 3D printing gets more popular with, regular people, it's like that's the kind of printers that we need. Something that it sets up pretty easy and it levels itself, and you just have to put plastic in it and figure out the slicer. So.
And the slicers are a whole nother bag of chips, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite slicer?
I use Cura, but every now and then I drift over and check out Prusa, and it's like, Prusa slicer's not. Yeah, it's getting better for us non-Prusa people. So, and I'll tell you, I did an IDEX from Kaiwu, and it worked so much better with Prusa's slicer. So Prusa's got something going on there that it just automatically figured out where to put the 2 colors, and it worked. It was a lot smoother. And Cura was like, it was a little messy. So, how
do you like the Arachne engine in Cura? Have you messed around with that at all?
I don't know. No, I haven't really. So I try to just, I don't have time to experiment with beta stuff. So when I am running Cura 5, so whatever's on there.
Yeah, that's Arachne. That has it. Yeah. Prusa just brought Arachne over into Prusa Slicer for 2.5, but that is still an alpha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which honestly is I have removed 2.4 from my bottom bar on my computer because I'm using 2.5 Alpha 3 so often. I am obviously Team Orange all the way. I have 13 Pruses among 42 printers, so a lot of machines here. But I will say Cura has gotten a lot better. I started in the days of Repetier Host, so
Okay.
like anything and Replicator G, anything is better than either of those.
Okay.
Anything like Kirimoto is better, and Kirimoto is a real tough slicer. It's great for belt printers though. Do you have any plans on doing like a DIY build soon?
No. No, probably not.
No Vorons in your
Morons
future?
terrify me. Oh, they terrify me. So
It's a bamboo, but with extra steps, right? You just got to build it yourself.
now I got an FL Sun behind the camera here, for the V400,
Yeah.
and that sucker is fast.
Clipper.
Yeah. And it came with Clipper right out of the box, so that's awesome.
That one has been another one that's on my radar. If it wasn't for the fact that it's like, what, 1.5 meters tall from the ground?
Yeah, I
It's
had
a
to put
little
it on the
tall.
floor, so yeah, because I needed a step stool to put filament in it.
Have you thought about turning it upside down?
I got a drop ceiling in here, so I don't know.
No, like setting the printer on its top rather than on its bottom.
Oh, I thought you meant like hanging it from the ceiling.
No, we're not pooch. We're not pooch. We
Okay.
don't do those things.
No, at the moment I just I have a chunk of tile in this room. So I've got it sitting on the tile and it's just on the floor, and it's a temporary situation. I think I might eventually move it to maybe like a low table just to get it a little bit off the ground.
Like a lack end table. Well, and that's why I'm thinking Delta should be able to print upside down. There's no reason that they can't. If it's a flat surface, flip it over. But then theoretically, it's at like waist level.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if it could run sideways.
Technically, there's no reason it couldn't. Right? Yeah. Like theoretically, I'd be curious to see if it changes how support works. Because it should. This is something that I want to do as like a video series to see how like it does running a Prusa upside down or running an Ender upside down result in better overhangs.
Well, I know Pooch has got, I think he's got a Prusa upside down.
He does, yeah. He has a Mark III bolted.
Mitch 3D, I think, was running around Murph with a backpack printer. That was a Delta.
He's in St. Louis now, by the way.
Yes, he just moved to this next county over.
He's on our team, so we were actually talking about you yesterday. He's like, "You got Denise on the podcast?" I'm like, yeah. He's like, "I've been trying to get in contact with her. We want to get together and come to her 3D printer meetups and all that." He's like, "I'll bring the backpack printer." I'm like, "Hell yeah, dude! You got to go bring the backpack printer."
Yeah, we've got a pretty decent. It's kind of funny when I finally got around to going to the meetup group. We have Arch Reactor in the city, and then apparently there's some other ones on the other side of we have two rivers. Anyway, in another county, there's another one for more suburbanite people, I guess. And it's like I finally go to the Arch Reactor was shut down for a while because of COVID, so it took them a while to get back up. And I'm like, ooh, and it's like I know all these YouTubers and stuff, and they're like, whatever. And a lot of the guys there, they have print farms. There's a guy who does the Nerf guns, not Nerf, and and they're mainly what they do is they help out people who just bought a printer, and they're like, bring your broken printer over, we'll fix it for free, we'll give you the pep talk. And I'm eager to see what happens with that as it gets back.
That is so valuable to have in your community. We don't have something like that here.
Somebody who knows printers is really great.
I've been debating on setting it up like we do like a 3D printer repair day where I spend all day at one of the local maker spaces, just like bring in your printers. I'm here all day. I'm filming content, but bring in your printers and I'll fix them for free. No parts, of course, but I'll walk you through how to get them fixed. But I also recognize like transporting printers can cause them to also break. So it's really tough.
Yeah. Well, I
But
know somebody hauled in like an Ender 5 and it's,
yeah, the big frames.
yeah, but they got it working.
Can
So,
you fix my Stratasys? I can just see someone wheeling in a Fortis. Like, can you fix this? No, call your service center.
well, I think one of our members is a tech help guy for MakerBot. So we
Oh,
have some talent.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes. How big is your makerspace there?
Um, I'm not exactly sure because the arch reactor is the 3D printing group is kind of like a side show, but
That
the
is
heart of,
accurate.
yeah, and the heart of it is they've got all these great tools. They've got the metalworking tools and the wood lays, and I think they've got a forge back there. And they do have an older laser printer that a really, or not laser cutter that's really huge. And I know recently that part of the arch reactor team put together a Red Bull soapbox racer
Ah, yeah.
and within that. So, and that was a big fun project for them.
That's fun.
So,
You guys have fun. Our maker spaces out here are small. We have the Tampa Hacker Space and we have the Amrock Fab Lab here in Tampa, Florida. And Amrock is in an underserved community, so they're slowly getting built up, and I think they've done really well with basically no budget. Tampa
yeah.
Hackerspace has been around for quite a bit longer, like for a few, many more years, and they've got a much nicer facility, but it is still like a hodgepodge, right? But it's just a shame because it's 45 minutes each way to the hackerspace for me, so it's like I can only really go.
Yeah, I know Arch Reactor is a nonprofit, so
Mm-hmm.
they're doing what they're doing on membership dues.
Yep,
So, and it's only like $50 a month or something to be a member, and you get keys to the door. So
that's cool.
you have to be trusted. So as just walking off the street for that. But I was thinking we have another makerspace in the city, and it's called Made.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually kind of got a start from not necessarily Made, but on this is complicated. So on top of Made is Magic House Made for Kids.
Okay.
And that is our children's museum set up a kids makerspace on top of the adult makerspace. And they have all kinds of cardboard and art supplies, and they have 3 maker bots.
Okay.
And so I sent my kid there for mommy blogging stuff where, we were covering their opening, and it's like, oh, look, cute little 3D printers. And they're like, $5, you can print whatever you can get out of it in half an hour. And the kids were just eating it up. And I think they had the slicer software on like an iPad or I don't know, maybe a Chromebook or something. I don't know, something pretty simple that, could put up with the kids. And the staffer there, their whole job is just to take whatever the kids make and squish it down so that it'll print in about half an hour. So you get this crappy little print. And the kids are like, oh, this is the most amazing thing ever. and they were like, we got to get a printer. So this is, we're coming over here spending, $15 a shot printing these dorky little things. And I was like, mom needs a printer.
I had a similar experience. I worked for a local science museum, and they had a Thingomatic, which was my first experience with belt 3D printers, because the Thingomatic, of course, had a belt, but it was also made of wood, and it's Florida. So days where it was really humid, you had to recalibrate the printer. So we actually had 2 calibration processes, one for a dry day, one for a humid day, because its tolerances would change as the wood swells and then contracts again. But watching just the awe on the faces of these kids as they were given, like, my favorite were the whistles, because every kid wants them and no parent wants them to have it. We would make whistles for the kids, and they were really loud whistles.
Well, it's like I've got I reviewed a monoprice Delta, the little tiny
Delta. Mm-hmm.
And it's like the quality is not all that great, but man, it is so fun to watch. So I think I'm going to see if the middle school wants it, because that might just be a really fun showpiece. We do have a STEM teacher, so she might want to show it off on her desk to get kids excited, because watching the little deltas make stuff is just really fun.
Literally just set it up to not even print, just have it move. Deltas are just so pretty to watch, right? A they're a pain to calibrate, but once they're calibrated, oh my gosh, they run like a Swiss watch. But yeah, that I looked at one of those, and right at that time I was repairing someone's Rostock Max V2, and that was just a disaster of all these hodgepodge parts put together. They're fun printers,
Yeah.
but if you don't need to print circular tall objects, Deltas, they serve a very unique market.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how big I can go with it. Here, hang on one second. I'm staring at this. Yeah, I'm sitting on the floor if you haven't figured that out yet. So this was run off of the Delta V400 there.
I
So,
have a copy of that somewhere. What a pretty vase. Oh, is that
oh, yeah,
tricolor too?
color.
Oh.
So pretty big. And I mean, the fact I don't know what it is about looking at a round plate. You want to print round things, but it will print stuff too.
When I was testing that Delta printer, when I was repairing it, I was printing vases, and my mom has a lot of vases now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I ran this a little too cold. This is one problem. I should have thought of this immediately, but it's running so fast. You really need to bump up the temperature of the filament. And the profile that they sent, there's my pet peeve. Profiles sent from companies that don't give me beautiful prints. It's like, you made the printer, those profiles should be kick butt. But yeah, so there's a little bit of a little extreme there because the filament was running too cold.
A little sandpaper that goes away. That is a gorgeous print. This is something that I don't know if people are going to know. I have never printed with co-extrusion or tri-extrusion before.
Oh, this is fun stuff.
I never have a need, right? That is probably one of the prettiest prints that I've seen in tri-extrusion in a while, because those colors work really, really well together. The blue, green, and I'm gonna go red so I can call it RGB.
Right. Filament Frenzy, Clock Spring. He's after me for not crediting designers enough. So if anybody's because with Tom's Hardware, I write the reviews, and of course I credit all the designers for the models that I do. But then when they get pulled over to the best of, sometimes the pictures were coming over with design credits. It's like, well, read the article. But yeah, this is a Clock Spring print.
Yep. Yeah, Clock Spring makes some real pretty vases. Some recent ones too that I really liked. His arboreal vase with the leaves on it.
Yes, that's on my list.
That would be cool with a. It was cool with a time lapse on a Prusa, but to see it big on a Delta, yeah. I'm about that. I'm about that. So, what are your thoughts on the? Every company provides their own skinned version of Cura that's not the latest version with profiles that kind of suck.
Okay. I think it's probably more annoying for the reviewers because we have the latest slicer. We just want to use the one slicer. And, and sometimes in the way that they run these profiles, like I got a Neptune from Elegoo, and I didn't realize that they hid the profile in, like in the PLA settings. Oh, there's some. I think it's handy to have the slicer with the printer for someone who doesn't know what they're doing.
Yep.
Especially, this is a shock, but there are people who live out in the country that don't have good internet access. And like my parents, they're on a satellite dish, and they don't necessarily want to spend a lot of their allotted data downloading software, or they may get a cheaper price if they download after midnight or something like that. It's still, I know we tend to forget there are people who live out in the boonies who are, technical. They're not.
They're using Starlink these days, a lot of them, but yes.
Having it on the disc, that's great. You just punch it in and, and it's good to go. But the profiles should be, I would expect better. Because it's like, I had that IDEX, and the profile that came with it did not give me really beautiful prints. And then when I went over to Prusa and just used Prusa's natural settings,
Hmm.
I got much better results. So
That too was my experience with an
yeah.
IDEX. That printer I never published that review. We
Um,
reviewed the We Do X40. Is that? Oh, it's in the garage now because the Snapmaker's in its place. Uh, I could never get the IDEX to align properly. And when I tried to get the nozzle height set, one of the screws is in there so tight it snapped an Allen key.
ooh,
Which,
that's like
for those that have ever snapped an Allen key, know you basically have to turn it a full 180 degrees past where it thinks it needs to stop for it to snap. They're hardened steel.
hmm.
So I was like, huh,
Well,
okay.
I'll tell you, I will give Chuck Hellebuck a plug here. Uh, anything that looks like an ender can run his profile. Anything that looks like a CR10, it can run his profile. And I found that, just like I said, I like to use Cura 5. And if I just set it up and tell it you're an ender, you're a CR10 now.
Yep.
And it runs great. And it's like, I don't know that I know that they like to have their brand. I think the only printer I got where using their copy of Cura really made a difference was probably a Neptune, and that's because they have a spot on their screen for a thumbnail, and so there was software baked into. I could get the plug-in and download it and tweak it. And I could get it to work on regular vanilla Cura, but their copy of Cura that their Elegoo Cura, it already had that all ready to roll for you, and so the thumbnail worked fine. So,
That's fair.
not everybody something like that needs to be custom.
I agree with you on if it looks like an ender, it's an ender. If it looks like a CR10, it's a CR10, and use the appropriate profiles for it. Of course, any cubics that have auto bed leveling have to be a little bit different, but for the most part, it is what it is.
But I've gotten several printers where they're like, the directions are just go get the default Ultimaker printer and then give it our bed size. And now it's running stupid fast. The acceleration and the jerk settings are just too much for it.
Then sometimes also set to 285 filament.
Ooh, yeah, you got to check that.
Yep.
But yeah, when I had a fabulous print fail on my Anycubic Cobra Max, and I printed a FlexiRex full bed.
You won a contest for that.
And it's like after it got about 2 pounds of filament on it, it kind of choked a little bit because I was running it with the default profile that they told me to set up, and the acceleration was just way too much for it after it got a really heavy print. And so I had this big old layer shift on it. And then later on, I told it, you're CR10 that's really big. And it was like, okay. And it printed beautiful after that.
My big fail that I'm holding on to for Earth if they do it again is this, like 18 hours in it was on my Taz 6. The filament broke because it's 285 and it has a tendency to break.
Yeah.
But
I have so many print fails, and I think probably part of the problem with the difference with being a reviewer and, just being a regular printer, when I just had my 2 machines, I knew every last little quirk about that machine. And, but now it's like, I've got this rotating thing. I've got several different brands, several different styles. And I feel like I'm just a new printer every week. I'm a newbie again.
that must be fun, right? Like I love that you and your reviews are amazing because you do go after it from like an entry-level hobbyist perspective, even though you know quite a bit more now.
Yeah.
But you're doing it for the entry-level person. I said, damn it, this is the right way to do it, right? This is what I want. And I've been doing this for over a decade and I still want to see reviews like this.
Well, and it's like, I know a lot of the guys who've been reviewing printers for a while, they're like, oh, we're sick of the underclones. And it's like, okay, but somebody who just wandered on a Monoprice's website and they see this printer and it's like, hey, that's like $250. Maybe I'll buy that. You know, we still need to review all the clones and let people know, is this any good? And it's like, okay, maybe it's not special, but it's not bad. It actually prints really nice.
Well, and it should, right?
It needs
Like,
prints. It needs new prints. It needs the orange ones. But you know, it's like somebody needs to go ahead and take a look at all the printers and let you know, is this worth your money or not?
I appreciate that about what you guys do at Tom's, because you're not just looking at like, I was it Andrew that reviewed like a pretty serious Formlabs printer. Um,
Probably. I haven't had one of those.
and I said, okay, all right, yeah, it's like a $5,000 printer, but let's look at the review. Oh, okay. We're actually comparing it to Elegoo. All right. Hey, I'm here for this. Because I made the decision to go pure Elegoo for our resin
Yeah.
printers. I do have a Photon Mono X, but I have not used it. Hilariously, I bought it for a project. The project never went through, and I forgot to return it, so I have it. Uh, but I do love, that you
Yeah.
guys really do make certain that it's readable from the average reviewer or the average viewer, and that is amazing when I can say, hey, if you're more of a reader and you don't like
Mhm.
listening to my dumb voice, go to Tom's Hardware. Take a look at it, read it there.
Well, and it's like I like to be able to, being a writer, I guess I'm kind of wired for that. So I like to be able to skim through words and and see here's the breakout, the grid with all the stats.
Right.
And I know if I look at a YouTuber's video, they may not tell me the stats, or I got to back up and try to figure out, oh, how big is that? But also, YouTubers have a different challenge that they're trying to entertain people. And so maybe they are bored with printers that look, trying to make that exciting. So,
Yeah, the watch time metric
yeah,
that YouTube gives us is
I'm not sure how
dismal.
good it is. Yeah. I don't know how good evergreen material is for a YouTuber, or if you just have to constantly pump out fresh content.
Sometimes, like the video we did on the Prusa Mini upgrade, where we did the Revo to it and the Mad Monkey MM10 upgrade. That video has been pretty evergreen, just a very linear curve, and subscribers are linear as well. And
Yeah.
randomly, a video that I did on resin just went whoop, and then kept going on its curve. So
Mm.
there are some videos that tend to be more evergreen than others, but it is just because they have a high click-through rate, CTR, and a high watch time. So
Yeah.
on average, if we hit a 50% watch time on our videos, that's high.
Okay.
So that's saying, one person will watch for 1 second, another person will watch for all of it. Because people do want to see that. I want to see what I want to see. I want to hear it, and then I
Mm.
want you to go away. And it's very hard to tell that story, like you said, in an educational format. I think Zach Friedman is
Mm.
probably one of the better, because he's the pun master general when it comes to putting them into the videos, but he doesn't really do
I,
reviews.
yeah, but he did a video on like he did all the filaments,
Mm-hmm.
and that was awesome. I've watched that more than once because it's just fun, and I'm having my Zach Friedman moment. I'm doing a filament guide, so I've got like a 30 benchies back here that I've been printing one out of
Are,
every filament that I've got.
are you connected with him?
No.
I
I just like his videos, and
I can try to get you connected. He sometimes doesn't read his emails, but I'm happy to try to get you connected if you want.
yeah, I think he actually follows me on Twitter now.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah. Oh, I've been making those the Gridfinity thing too. This big IKEA thing is
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not quite what he was planning on since it's flat, but that was really nice, that project, because I went on to printables and found everybody who sat there making mods, and I filled up my little IKEA drawer full of little boxes trying to keep all my tools from sliding around in there.
I saw that and said, "Damn it, Zach, you're a genius. This Gridfinity system is brilliant." And similar, like I've got these are two IKEA filing cabinets right here, and I'm gonna end up putting Gridfinity in all the drawers because my drawers are a disaster. They're just a disaster.
Well, especially when you get all these printers and then you have 5,000 little wrenches laying around and you're not sure what to do with them.
And Mad Cat USA brings up a point. He said, not to mention Joel Telling's review of the recent Flash Forge. I that was very refreshing to see Joel be upset about something. And I know that sounds weird, but it is nice to see that I'm not the only one that is critical of printers often.
Now, which one was that? Is that the most recent
That was the
video?
iDex. It's a MakerBot Replicator 2X iDex.
Okay.
Uh,
I try to watch all of it. I know he comes out with a video every Saturday, so that's my Saturday morning thing.
yeah. Yep. Same deal. I like Joel. I am looking forward to meeting Joel. I am really trying to get to Earth. It is
Okay.
very expensive. I'm calling the hotel when we're done to try to figure out if I can negotiate a bit of a better rate, because $250 a night for a hotel room is a lot. Maybe I'm just wrong, but I'm gonna try. You know, the worst thing gonna tell
Yeah.
me is no.
I
But
haven't booked anything yet, but I would like to get to Earth. I talked my husband into doing the drive because we don't fly. I've heard so many nightmares about people trying to, they get stuck in the airport, or like for Murph, the Revo guys, whatever, that
E3D
all of their
stuff got.
yeah, their stuff got stuck in customs.
Yep.
And they showed up and they're like, we have no things. Who's got our product? Come put it on our table. And they had a fabulous table of very colorful printers.
I reached out.
Had their stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, put my printer on your table." So yeah,
I reached out to them when I saw that and said, I'm not at Murph, but I know you all have my address, and I can give you a loading dock shipping address where if you want to send it months in advance, I will store it and hold it, and then I'll make sure it gets to where it needs to go. I am happy to be the logistics guy here. That is absolutely something that I do really, really, really well, is logistics.
yeah, so I think I'm gonna try to. I'll look into the hotels, but we're probably gonna drive it and just not, we're not getting a table or anything like that. So.
Oh, and thanks Pez Liz for the $2 I think it's a super chat. I don't know how YouTube does it, but thank you, Liz. I appreciate it. I have been convinced to bring the Eva. So I am bringing the Artec Eva up to Murph, or Earth.
Yeah.
I'm planning on flying, but I can't fly with the entire kit that I normally bring. I have a folding cart, then I have a portable power pack battery station that runs the laptop and the Eva and some other stuff. So I'm gonna have to find a better way to be portable, because I can't put a folding cart on an airplane. Although what I might just do is say, who's driving and wants a folding cart? I will ship it to your house, bring it to Earth. I will use it, and you take it home with you. It's yours. Enjoy. We'll see. Practical, Krusty from Practical Printing, Chris Russell says Liz just wants her cat scanned. Yeah, I'm okay with scanning cats. I love cats. My cat is an integral part of my branding. But yeah, I am really looking forward to Earth. It is my first time ever going to one of these events, and
Murph was a lot of fun.
I couldn't go. It didn't work out. I was definitely not financially able to go.
Well, it's only like 5-6 hours for me, so it wasn't that bad a drive.
Everything's far in Tampa.
I know my in-laws, when they have passed, but my in-laws were in St. Augustine, so that was a 16-hour trip, and my husband would drive it. We're just driving all the way through. And I give him like a 2-hour nap, and then he drives some more. So
we thought about it, and I did the math at like a $4 a gallon gas price. It works out to within like $50 of an actual plane ticket.
But how much time are you actually saving?
I'm saving a ton of time by flying. A ton of time by flying. I am wasting a lot of time by driving. But then I could do things like the Georgia Aquarium. I can stop at all the micro centers on the way up. I can stop all the micro centers on the way down too. And I can make irresponsible financial decisions and buy big things if I have a car, right? I guess Atomic was selling carbon fiber filament for like $30 a kilo at Murph.
Yeah, I just bought stuff, but yeah, I bought some filament and things like that.
I've said I'm gonna fly Southwest, so I have 2 bags, and I'm gonna bring an empty bag so I can fill it full of stuff.
Put your cart in the empty bag and then leave the cart.
I don't know if it would fit. That's not a bad plan. Maybe. We will see. Because they're like 75 to 80 bucks. And if it's a big quality of life thing, it might be worth it. I don't know. We'll see.
I've got a folding, it's like a folding milk crate. So that would, fold down. That would probably fit in a suitcase.
It's the wheels of the cart. So I can put the laptop on and I can move around the person. Because I have a bad back. I herniated 2 discs in April of 2020. Great time to have a back injury, by the way. Nobody else was doing anything. But holding a laptop in one hand and the scanner in the other is one of the most, like, frustratingly painful things to do. So the cart works perfect. Practical Printing saying Printed Solid should offer a reshipping service. I totally agree. Agree. Because I would make irresponsible decisions there and end up with like 80 kilos of carbon fiber PETG from Atomic and have no regrets whatsoever because their material is amazing. What is your favorite filament, by the way?
Ooh. Okay.
We can break that down into subcategories if we need to.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm doing a filament guide right now, so I'm running through a lot of different filaments and trying out different brands. But probably, I like the Protopasta because that stuff prints just really good. And their recycled is awesome. So like the recycled black brings it down to the price of like ordinary filament. That's really nice. But yeah, I got a spool of carbon, or not, you got me on the carbon fiber thing. From Atomic, I picked up a spool of, it's like red blood diamond gold dust, something. I don't know, but it's really pretty. And it prints really nice. So
I was lucky enough to get a piece for the We Are Builders event. And I'm going to do that in Starry Night by Atomic. It is one of my favorite colors. It is a dark translucent blue with silver metal flake speckle in it. It's freaking gorgeous. One of my favorite colors. I know for like pretty prints, the silks kind of win the game because they really do look pretty. But I'm a big fan of Printed Solid, and as much as I hate regular white filament, Printed Solid's design white is one of my favorite white filaments to print with, period.
Yeah, I got some stuff. Oh, it might be sitting on my porch by now from Printed Solid. I don't know if they still make it, but they had a lithophane white. It was like quarter white, and that made really, really good.
They still have the quarter white.
And then I bought a lot of their green and orange when I was doing the dumpster fires.
Brad's orange or what orange?
No, it wasn't Brad's. It was just like the mystery orange. So.
Oh yeah,
and then green. So.
Yeah, Zombie Hedgehog is saying Polyterra cotton white. This is the Polyterra cotton white. I learned a very hard lesson about Polyterra. It is more dense than regular filament by a fair margin. Okay. Regular PLA is 1.24 to 1.25 grams per cubic centimeter. Polyterra is 1.31. And I didn't find that out until my Fusion 3 ran out of filament. It has a runout sensor, but it only pulls it like once every 30 seconds.
Okay.
So if you're on the wrong area of a print, it's just done perimeters and you're screwed. Yeah, the print's ruined. I held up a print earlier to show a big part, and you see the line on it right there? Yep. Okay. This is Polyterra Fossil Gray, over 500 grams, and it is absolute trash, unfortunately, because of that runout sensor issue. It is a nice material. It's like it's a soft touch. Have you ever printed in Polyterra?
Yeah, I think I've got a spool of blue going right now because isn't it the Polyterra where they plant a tree?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to put that in the guide because I thought that was kind of a nice touch for, they got the they got the cardboard spools, and I've had really good luck with the rest of their product. My problem with Polymaker is that I keep buying stuff that clashes or blends into my wall. Like, blue is my favorite color, and it's like, and they're, and it's like, oh, this is great blue, and then it's like that blended right into the wall. And I'm looking at one. It's like a blue marble. That was really
their Galaxy. Oh, someone put it in here earlier. Galaxy dark blue.
Ooh. Okay.
I ordered one on Perillo's birthday. I ordered 17 kilos from them on Perillo's birthday. They had 50% off for half an hour during Perillo's birthday. And hilariously, a lot of us got double shipments. So I have to send that back. But I have 34 kilos in my house now, extra filament, which is like,
Yeah.
But yeah, their Galaxy dark blue is really, really pretty. Their polylight stuff. That is cool. So what then for the future? What would you like? What do you want to see out of 3D printers in the future? Now that we're in George Jetson's lifetime.
Oh, yes. Have they found him yet?
Well, he was born yesterday.
I mean,
According to the show, he was born yesterday.
I saw that. It's like somebody named their kid George. Let's see. Printers. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Bambu does have an effect on the big names, if they're going to start working on how to speed up their printers. I know that Anchormate made kind of a splash, and then I haven't heard anything
They've
from
gone
it.
dark. Bambu stole their flames so much. I bet Anchor's so pissed.
And it's like, because it's like with those guys, we heard about it and we were going to try to get a review printer, and the closest we got was a New York cocktail party that my editor went to, because he's in New York. And they're like, we have one. We're going to bring it to this party and let you look at it. And then they're like, we don't have any for reviewers. And then Uncle Jesse turned up with one. So apparently they had a couple.
The one that Linus Tech Tips got in their video, they said that they're only aware of 13 out there.
Oh, I didn't even know it was that many. Because, yeah, I've only seen like the 2 videos from Linus and then Uncle Jesse. And I know the Linus, like, he tore into it and said it was,
all
like
milled
aluminum or something like that. So,
well, and Anchor confirmed that it was going to be cast and not milled.
Oh yeah, there's no way that they could make it to that standard. That was like custom built or something.
I will be curious if they fulfill those pledges. It's like $8 million, right?
I don't know. It's like they just kind of, went away. So
it's complicated. People don't understand. Like I was afraid for Bambu, right? They got almost 6 million, or was it almost 7? It was close to a big million number. And that amount of money and that amount of orders is way more work than people think. The economies of scale that occur then, one supplier chain problem and you're screwed. Your whole thing is delayed.
But it sounded like they had a lot of their printers just ready to roll, and they're just kind of working on the software. So
they did, and that's their.
I know
that's a benefit.
The Kickstarter thing, you kind of. I don't know. Big fan of the Kickstarter business.
I am the same way. I poo-poo Kickstarter a lot. It says, and I backed the Revo Point Mini.
Yeah. Well. And watching the Creality Lizard go down in flames just like a couple of days before they were supposed to ship. And then it's like, oh, Arctech came in and said, hey, that's our idea. And so I feel for all the people who are like, they're so close, because we were all figuring it's Creality. You're going to,
Yep. Yeah. I side with Arctech on this. Their claims are pretty strong, right? The big one was that they were able to replicate Easter eggs in Creality Studio that they only had an Arctech studio, and they know that Creality poached people. Poaching people is totally legal. Deal with it. But if those people took source code, whoa, we've got ourselves a problem. And Creality's been playing the we don't care, we're in China, middle fingers to you. But the Kickstarter established a USA nexus. And that was the pin that Arctech needed. And I do feel for the backers, but I also say that is the risk you take. And if you're not comfortable with that risk,
realize that.
Yeah, well, because Kickstarter's turned into a pre-order system and not a let's help a company that we believe in make something cool. I'm trying to see if the case is still ongoing. The last update was July 19th. And there was a rescheduled order.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're still going to try to, because I think they figured out Kickstarter was like this is not our problem. We didn't have anything to do with this. Let us just give people their money back. And so I don't know if they really have anywhere to go with that suit.
No, and Creality's thing was, well, if we just give everybody their money back, our USA Nexus ceases to exist. But something tells me that the courts might disagree. But I'm following that case really closely because that is going to set precedent for how Kickstarters are treated. If all of a sudden Kickstarter means that you have created a USA Nexus and you must now abide by USA patent and trademark laws, we're going to see a lot fewer companies using Kickstarter. We're going to see a lot of them use whatever the platform was that Creality went to, the one that's Hong Kong based, where they don't have that problem. But I do agree with you. I'm glad that Bambu happened. I'm so glad, and I hope they do well because they are going to push companies to stop being so lackadaisical. And Prusa as well. Prusa's been a little bit calm, right? And Bambu could viably make them push harder for faster machines, for more accurate printing, and all of that, where previously they're kind of the kings of the prosumer industry. They don't really have anybody to be dealing with. Bambu, I think, is the biggest threat right now. So I am excited to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be definitely interesting to see if that makes everybody up their game a little bit. Because right now the solution to you buy more printers. You know, if one printer isn't cutting it for you, you buy two, you buy three, and then you can make stuff faster. So, but having a printer that really truly goes fast. Especially for the American mindset of, we want it now. Like, I don't want to wait 36 hours for this print. So
I can get it on Amazon in 5 hours. I also hope that we move away from bed slingers. SJC is saying RIP to the bed slingers. I really want to see more Core XY printers because bed slingers are a pretty big limitation. And like when you get to those big ones, they take up so much space because you need it for the bed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When I got the Cobra Max, it's like, this is an IKEA kitchen counter and it doesn't fit on this. So it's on my air hockey table right now.
I use industrial shelving from Sam's Club. Hey, can you use that for extra cooling though? That's the question you got to find out.
It's a ventilated, bed surface. I could probably plug that in.
I'm just saying it might work. That'd be a cool thing. But like I use 24-inch deep commercial shelving from Sam's Club, like $200 per shelf. And if the printer's footprint is more than 24 inches deep, nothing I can do. It's stuck. I have to put it somewhere else. And I do run out of flat surfaces to put big machines.
And I got the Minga Pro, which is about the same size. And I brought it, because I do my unboxing pictures in here. So I had to put it sideways. And then it's a little deceiving because that sucker is on this big heavy plate. And you're like, oh, it's not that bad. And then you push the bed all the way back. And it's like, no, it was hanging off the edge of the counter. So that one's in another room also, where I've got sort of a double bar. My original crafting area was a wet bar, so we turned it into my craft zone. So I got a really wide counter there for big printers like that.
Why not both? Craft zone plus wet bar? Now that's...
I still have the sink, but
that's the ticket right there.
Well, if somebody does a YouTube where it's like, tipsy printing, that should be interesting.
A little dangerous. Change a nozzle while drunk. Oh God, that would be bad. Krusty doesn't know anything about that. Calling out people in my chat. Well, Denise, I want to be respectful of your time, so thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us. Do you have any final thoughts for those out there that are looking to get into the professional reviewing game?
Actually, not really. Because I know I jumped the line a little bit by getting in with Tom's as a writer. So, and I know that if you're trying to start out on your own, you need to, if you're doing it through YouTube, you need to buy your own printers first, and review those and make the interesting videos so that you can build up the traffic, get the attention of the companies. So
I love it. I mean, that's so true. And I guess, hey, if you're looking to get into reviewing, writing about reviews is always a good way. And you know what? It's better for SEO anyways. Anytime we write out our reviews and put them on the website, the website gets so much more traffic than it did previously. So that's like, I'm onboarding a staff member right now just as a writer to take what I talk, turn it into a paper, and post it on our website.
oh yeah, yeah, because YouTube and Google are, it's all connected.
Well,
So that's all good for you. So, yeah.
Well, Denise, thank you so much for hanging out, chatting about all things 3D printing, from what companies do right to what companies do wrong, and what you think is going to be the future of 3D printing. I am so excited to see what next machines you're going to be coming out with. And I hope one day you get to try out some really cool stuff like a Mark Forged or a metal 3D printer and really get to sink your teeth into the tech. It should be fun. Should be fun. Well, do you know my outro at all or no?
No.
It's fine. Even my dad got it wrong, so you're fine. Well, this has been season 2, episode 47, episode 99 of the Making Awesome podcast. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. And I guess write it down while you're at it. Have a good one.